All right, we do continue on with conversations here on Morning at NTV. Quite critical for your own absorption as you get into the weekend. The power of effective communication in career advancements is something that every interview I'm sure you've gone to, or every human resource office that you've entered in, one of the judgments upon you is how can you effectively communicate what you need from that office. And it's not just even the human resource departments, but in life, really, the people that you have to interact with and the engagements that you have to be in, the spaces that you have to be in, how effective are you at passing on the message that you want to pass on, or saying the things that you need to say in that room at that opportune time. So the ability to communicate well and effectively is often cited by employers as the critical bridge between being competent and being noticed, so much so that many graduates and professionals in both the private sector as well as government departments and agencies are experiencing career stagnation, and this is on the account of ignorance of this one soft skill. And we even see it more often now with the generations younger, and them not even having an awareness that they must have a skill in communication, because if they don't have it, then they're going to look like they're empty tins. Anyway, Frederick Musimenta, who is an author and a communications specialist, is joining us this morning to speak about the power of communication. Good morning to you, Frederick.
Good morning, Priscilla, and good morning to our viewers.
The power of communication, what is it? What are the elements that make a communication stand out?
Well, to begin with, for communication to be effective or to take place, we talk about it's an exchange. There's an exchange of information between the sender and the receiver. So, and that communication has to be precise, has to be concise, has to be correct. In broader terms, we talk about the 6 C's for communication.
Okay.
Yeah, the first being clarity. That information or the communication you are passing should be clear. It should not be vague. Then it should be concise. It should not be too broad. Don't talk a lot and people will not pick what you're talking about. So the message or the communication you are putting out should be concise. Then we're also talking about the correctness. It must be the correct message. We're talking about the audience you're giving the information or the message. So the message should be correct, matching with the audience for whom it is intended. Then we are talking about the coherence, the logical flow, and the consistency of that information. You don't flip-flap and you think you're communicating because people will not understand. So there has to be a logical flow from the introduction to the body and the conclusion. Then we are talking about the completeness. The message should be complete. It should not be left hanging, because if it hangs, it means the receiver will not be in position to decode that message and be able to give you feedback. Then we are also looking at the courteousness. It should be courteous. You should be courteous in your communication. Do not be rude in your communication, because oftentimes that has happened.
Yeah.
And the moment that happens, it means the whole essence of the communication has been laid to waste.
It's a soft skill that people are losing track of, especially when it comes to employment opportunities in this new economic era that is now predominantly all about artificial intelligence and technology. And so people are thinking, that means I don't have to speak much or interact much in order to then cover all these C's that you have talked about. Help us understand, how can we think the traditional methods or approaches of selling oneself in light of the new era that is upon employment opportunities?
Well, it's very true with the modern technology and the supersonic change of events in terms of technological advancement, because communication and basically information has totally changed. Yeah, with the Gen Z, this kind of a traditional communication for them doesn't matter. And they could be partly right, because we have not inculcated very much that culture of communication right from home and up to the lower levels of education. So failure to do that means that the mode of communication these days, if you have followed even on the social media, people do not communicate as they used to. They just 1, 2, 3 words. They use jargon. They use short form.
Yes, a lot of slang and and they're abbreviating phrases like "How are you?" and they just write HW, and you're like, how am I supposed to know that that is "How are you"?
Yes, so we have to bridge the gap between the older and the younger generation. That is, we're talking about the Gen Z and the Y generation and the old guards, because we need to see how to bridge the gap. But importantly is to come up with modules of engaging these young people, so that whereas they have to cope with modern trends, they have to keep at the back of their mind that they communicate, the tradition of communicating and putting out information is maintained. Failure to do that, they find it hard to succeed at interview panels or writing a winning, may it be an essay or a project proposal. Because whereas we are talking about technology and things have changed, there are things to remain as they were. If it is you are writing an exam, they will not listen to your jargon and the short form. If you're writing a proposal, it will not. If you're writing a thesis, the same thing. So we have to have those regular clinics, maybe we call them workshops, and encourage people to revert to the tradition of communication, which is effective communication, which covers the 6 C's I have talked about.
Okay. There's the written communication and the spoken communication. Talk to us about those elements and how people should actually think about both of them as they are trying to advance in their different spheres of influence.
Well, for written communication, of course, you must write correctly, irrespective of the language you're using.
I'll be honest with you, and you know, an Alpha generation member will send you a message, and they'll just say hi, and you're thinking, I don't know you, I don't know why you're hiring me, and and they expect, by the way, that you respond. Most recently, someone sent me a message, and they were asking me to be friends, and I was asking them, how can I help you? And their response was, it's okay, it's fine. And you're thinking, so they feel like they were infringed a little bit by me asking, how can I help them? They just want to be friends. About what? Yeah. Exactly.
So we need to have to bridge that gap. But importantly, how to best do it is to have these regular engagements with them on the basics of communication, be it verbal or written. For written, you have to write correctly, like I talked about. The message should be clear to the person to read what you're writing. They should be in a position to understand, irrespective of the language, whether it is your local language or a foreign language, or whichever language it is, it must be clear to the recipient. Then for the verbal one, if you want to engage someone, they should be in a position, first of all, to understand you. You have to keep in mind factors like body language, the tone of your speech, because you need not to be too low and not be too loud, depending on where the person you're speaking to is standing or seated. So those have to be balanced, but it has to be kept at the back of our mind that for such communication to take place, the communicator, most especially the person sending out the message, should have mastered what they want to talk about. They should be in the know what they're talking about. Otherwise, the recipient will not be in a position to decode and be able to give them feedback appropriately. Yes. Okay.
So how are organizations like yours actually intervening to help boost this sector in Uganda?
The best way this is being done, as you see, there has been now, at least there is a revival in terms of the debate and public speaking. At least there's that wave sweeping across Uganda and in the region at large. Yes, whereby the children, from as long as upper primary, they're being encouraged to take on the public speaking and debate, because that is one way of engaging young people. Even that is not enough, because you cannot have all the people brought on board. So it has to be done, it has to be pushed through the Ministry of Education and other relevant agencies, Ministry of ICT, National Information and Technology Authority, so that they make it as a core of communication. That's why you find that in most institutions of learning, communication skills, there is a course unit of communication, especially in year 1. Why do they do that? They think that some students during the course of their study, maybe in high school, they didn't master very well communication. Yet at university, you must use that to communicate in terms of how you're answering the questions they're asking. Okay.
In closing, Frederick, what's your call to action to the different stakeholders as they should hold communication at the forefront?
the stakeholders we have to invest a lot in communication and give it a priority.
Yeah.
That's why you find most agencies now, government departments, private, all have a communications person, because communication is key. What you're doing has to be communicated, but in a formal way. Because failure to do that, you imply that people will not know what your company, what your organization is doing. So there is need to have that inculcated. Then for the schools, even if they may not wait for the Ministry of Education or government, they have to put it as part and parcel of their core, so that students, given the opportunity, are encouraged to learn basic communication skills, because these are the skills that help the students to survive long after school. Does not need that they may not necessarily depend on it when they're in school, but once they're done with school, they need to look for jobs, need to express themselves and look for opportunities, partnerships. So all that needs to be done. Yes. Like Madiba said, that when you speak to a man in the language he understands, it goes to his head.
All right.
But when you speak to a man in his language, it goes to his heart.
Well, you've had it from the horse's mouth, Frederick Musimenta, who has been able to help us understand how important and crucial it is to carry on the communication skill or invest in improving your own communication skills. And so you can definitely invest in that. We'll take a short breather and more conversations coming your way. Do stay with us.